So this idea that we have to empower individuals because they have to be able to communicate with confidence. If we can give them the right tool to communicate, now they have the confidence. And if they have the confidence, they can lead, or if they don't lead, at least they can participate on the other AI activities, like we talked about with the IoT devices, right? If you don't demand it, developers won't make it, and if developers don't make it, nobody's going to put money into it, right?
Right.
So one of the things that we talk about is the safety, security, and privacy. But the other one that is super important that we talk about is triple E's, which is that how do you create something that is very economical, right? And then has emotional intelligence behind it, right? Something that is explainable, something that's economical, but something that is also emotionally intelligent. As in, a lot of the AI projects do not consider people's psychology of
Mhm.
adopting that AI, right? Because in order for the users or the end users or the layman or the person who's most generalist who's going to interact with that AI, if they do not understand AI and the value of AI and how it behind the curtain works, they will tend to not use the maximum amount of feature. We talked about that earlier,
Yeah.
but the point is, it's not economical to invest on something that emotional intelligence of other people is not really there to adopt it. Right, that's what Jensen Wong was talking about. Right,
Yeah.
if you don't adopt it, is because of the explainability was never there. So you have to
Yeah.
be able to have an economical case, have an emotional intelligence of the users, and have it to be an explainable in a way that is continuously explained, right? As in, you're building up these AI interactions, not over in a 1 week course out of 52 weeks, but rather on a weekly basis, right? You are able to interact with these AI knowledge and improve your understanding of AI, right? So the cohort that we're developing, one of the ways that we would like to challenge anybody that's non-techie is to come at it from the security perspective. As in, you don't have to be a security subject matter expert, you don't have to be an expert of AI, you don't have to be an expert of technology. All you have to be is an expert of something that you are expert of.
Yeah.
But to bring that mindset that you will use the AI with those three E's in mind, right? You want to be able to explain that AI. You want to be able to, have emotional intelligence behind that AI, which is, you're looking out for the safety, security, and privacy of yourself and others, and then make it economical for your organization or whoever's investing time, labor, and money into it, right? So
Mhm.
you're explaining not just AI, but you're explaining those sort of the behind the scene information that somebody probably will ask at one point or another, right? Because yeah, you can explain AI all day long, but somebody that says, "Why would I spend money on that?" Now you really have to have the ability to say, "This is how is economically
Mhm.
identifiable." So this AI gap assessment is actually called business impact analysis, but because not everybody is a business oriented persona, what we call it is the AI gap assessment, right? So even if you don't understand anything about business, but if you're able to understand how AI makes money for somebody who invests in it, we want them to be able to do a gap assessment as a something that a business owner will have a consultant come in and do an AI gap assessment, right? Sort of like a business impact analysis. So we want them to understand the gap assessment from security perspective, if
Mhm.
not just security, but also that KISS methodology, right? Keep it interoperable, keep it sustainable, and keep it scalable. And then if they're really challenging themselves, they can go into something called digital twin or the Pawn the AI. Um, Pawn the AI is the hackathon, right, which happens every year, where somebody will go pawn a website, pawn an IT system, pawn a whatever. They actually pawn a vehicle as well. They can break into the vehicles and own that vehicle. This is called VCC. This one is called Pawn the AI because they're breaking into the AI and hacking that AI, trying to take ownership of that AI, right?
Mhm.
So this is there you go. I love that, right? So I hope Lucky and a group of people with their interest only, it doesn't have to be subject matter expertise. They just have to be able to say, I want to learn enough about it that I will contribute to this group through a research and kind of communicating our practicing of AI communications, develop the confidence. So that way they can say, I don't have to break the AI, but I can at least see how AI can be broken, and I can communicate that concerns to others as well. And then digital twin, of course, is like I said, it's a very wide topic. It's almost impossible to even explain the whole thing in a conversation. So you really have to pay attention to digital twin on a weekly basis as you conversate about digital twin with the different groups of people, and you see how digital twin applies to them based on their subject matter expertise. If you're in the medical field, you can imagine digital twin being a human body. But if you're in a medical field and somebody is a medical technician, their digital twin is the machine that a medical personnel uses, right? So I always just give you a spectrum of how widely different digital twin can be,
Mhm.
subject matter expertise, even in the same industry. But we have to really understand how digital twin works and how do we demand digital twin so that way we are able to design it, develop it, and deploy it, and possibly maintain and improve that digital twin experience for everybody. Right. So the digital twin, like I said, it's a huge spectrum of topic, but it's very, very much I would say it's been around for so long that we don't even realize it's a digital twin most of the time. So we really have to dig it out of wherever that is under
Mhm.
and bring it to the surface. Because if you look at the $5 trillion company like Nvidia,
Mhm.
that's their biggest bet, digital twin. You're looking at Facebook, biggest bet they have is digital
Digital
twin.
twin.
Anybody that you're looking at and thinking they're talking about AI all day long, look behind the curtain, it's all digital twin. That's what they're
Mhm.
talking about. So really have to do a good understanding of digital twin use cases, AI gap assessment for your organization, for your personal use or for your business use, whatever the case is. But the Pond the AI, of course, is the most technical one, but I would challenge you to try it because once you understand Pond the AI from the security perspective, you can see where AI investment goes very wrong or very profitable. So yeah, I think I'm really excited about this year's cohort because we're gonna learn some heavy stuff.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is being able to look at AI. How can you apply it to your business, and how do you get the right return on investment from the time vested in putting together, an AI solution or a capability or a function? As we're older, I think that we remember back in the day, when we went on a trip, we would stop at Walmart and pick up a Mapsco. And nowadays, any kid that was born in the '90s, or maybe we'll just say in um, generation Y, they all already have a different perspective, and doing something like this is be able to get the different perspectives, the different groupings of people, and say, okay, you know what? We all kind of have an idea what AI is, but how do we get it to work for us? How do we get it to really be successful? And because it's just not a checkbox. Typically never is.
No.
It's not a something simple. It's a whole stack of different services, functions, um, and in getting it all right does take work.
It's a work, but it's recalling the muscle memory of last time of failure, right?
Yeah.
Because in AI space, we talked about that 83% failure rate, 95% failure rate. It's a muscle memory of failing so often that once you get that AI, you actually come to an AI that's actually useful, not the one that's,
Hmm.
that keeping up with neighbors and keeping up with Jones's kind of AI, right? That AI actually works for you and works really well for you. So even if it's get hacked, it doesn't make any sense for anybody to hack it or steal it from you. I think
Hmm.
that's the win that I would say. A lot of companies can say that's a win. That's a win. Somebody can steal it, but no one use it. right?
You know,
Because it's not made for them; it's made for me. And Joneses, the neighbors, cannot use it.
I've seen that two different ways. I've seen where they say, you know what, we're gonna have our own decentralized large language model, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go with Chat GPT, and then they enable the subscription service, right? And all of a sudden we have a large language model. But if you ask the large language model who the president is, they're like, it's Joe Biden. Well, how good is the data at that point? It's like, okay, we have a large language model that provides us absolutely nothing.
That's the thing. Like if you have a let's call large language model is the AI, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
just a way of people's understanding that AI is large language model. So, say for example, you have an AI and that AI is built by you for you. You would you would prune and you will fine tune that large language model or AI to a point that it knows Lucky and Lucky's kids and Lucky's immediate that guarded area of wherever that square footage of where
Hmm.
Lucky lives, right?
Yep.
Exactly. It knows you and knows every details about you. And if you ask it who the president is, it's going to say president is Lucky
Yeah.
because that's how it's been trained, right? So
Hmm.
Joneses cannot use it, and if the Joneses even steal it, it will keep saying Lucky is the president, right? So that's the beauty of fine tuning and having a guardrail of pipelines that does not lead into Lucky's large language model, right?
Hmm.
Like that's the kind of AI that is possible to make today. And I'll give you one quick instance of that is that yes, you turn that subscription on, it's not your baby, it's somebody else's baby. You're just watching it for them and then
Exactly.
you're paying them to watch it, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to that hardware, software, and data, the conversation about I own the hardware and I own the large language model. One thing that is really missed is that every token costs money. So every time you talk to the Chat GPT, it doesn't cost you money today, but it will start costing you money if you had a
Hmm.
subscription. But if you had the hardware, which costs money, of course, but over time, that's all yours. Every
Yeah.
token that comes through is all free. You can use millions of tokens for free, where somewhere else you use millions of tokens, you got to pay for every 100,000, right?
I'm saying,
It's very
yeah.
expensive.
So how many questions do I get? You get 100,000, and then you have to pay more money. You have to, or you could have an open source. You can train it any way you want. Ask 10 million questions, and then you're not having to have a subscription service constantly nagging you for more money because you put in the work. But I mean, it's a means to an end. If you need an AI, then you got it. But does it really give you what you want? So at the end, it's like you have to weigh the options. It's not an easy answer. Not an
There's
easy
no
answer.
easy answers, but if you ask a college student, they ask questions that is just not related to a single specific topic, like 9 to 5 work. But if you work in an office and you're in a building and that building has all the things that you need, which is 9 to 5 work, you
Mhm,
don't need everything a college student needs. You need that
mhm,
specific AI that does your business process very well and
mhm.
does it with higher efficiency than what it would have been if you were to do it yourself, right?
Yep.
So your token cost is not millions of tokens. It's just a matter of why does this token goes to waste every time you have to call for a token that lives in California and you're in Texas, right?
Mhm.
Why can't that token live in Texas under your basement in your building and it costs you very little because you can use it for the next 10 years or 15 years versus that one token that costs you so much that you stop using it after a month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what's happening with even college students because they're realizing I have this free chat GPT, but I only used it for a month because after that, it kind of stopped working for me. It really
Mhm.
doesn't do much for me. So you're seeing a lot of the subscriptions and things of that nature that is kind of stalling at this point because they cannot come up with more use cases where it's actually useful when it's not
Yeah.
personalized, right?
Yep.
If it's personalized, it works totally different. It works like an agent. But if it's not personalized and it's just a bunch of gobbly that all 8 billion people can use, it doesn't really work for you, right?
Mhm.
So I guess I can say it, I can skin the cat here in many ways. But the main point here is that you just have to know where the cost balloons, is it economical,
Mhm.
and does it have emotional intelligence that you can build a trust with, that you can build that capability of personalizing it so that way you like it enough, right? And then
Mhm.
you keep using it. And then, of course, can you explain it behind the scene where the technology stack goes, who else has access to your information, things of that nature, right? It's talking
Yeah.
about your privacy and things of that nature. But yeah, I think this cohort here, if we can get more people to join, we'll definitely have a minimum of 4 per cohort and 7 maximum. So we are about 18 right now of hard yes. That might go down or go up, but and the reason it might go down is because we're also looking for personas. We're
Mhm.
looking for personas that is different background than just tech. So we have lots of techies that signed up, but we don't want all techies in a cohort, right? Even
Yeah.
for on the AI, we want somebody who's not a techie to be the part of that Pond the AI, either to lead it as a project manager, business decision makers, business leader, to bring their subject matter expertise in the business. I think will drive that whole team of Pond the AI to actually make different sorts of mission statement,
Mhm.
right? Because when you give a bunch of techies that mission statement, they all just work like a techie. They just say, I'm going to write the code all day long and I'm going to make it work. Like, no,
Mhm.
that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for an actually impactful pawning that AI, so that
Mhm.
way somebody from outside the technology field can drive the mission statement as well. Um, so I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to have you. I'm very excited to
Yeah.
have some of our mentors who will possibly come through this podcast and talk about their mentorship experience. It's going to be very exciting, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to get some guests on from the medical field. As a matter of fact, I've talked to a few people, and we'll talk more later about how AI is changing just not people that are in technology, but that people that use technology as a tool. That in their daily work as a nurse or a doctor, this is how it's changed their life.
That's right.
AI has, and so anyhow, I'd like to bring a guest next, probably the next, probably 2 3 weeks, but we'll talk about it more.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's a continuous effort, right?
Yeah.
This cohort, I think, will have lots of interest. Some people will find out it will work for them. Some people won't,
Hmm.
because it's a volunteer or cohort. We really need personas to say, I really have to contribute here, and if I have to contribute, I have to contribute from the core of my expertise, right?
Yeah.
So there's no need to feel like, oh, I'm not medical. Oh, I'm not, like, no, if you're just any subject matter expertise you have, if you can, you know, be passionate about it and contribute through that,
Yeah.
all game, because we're going to put lots of expertise in the table and pick through each expertise and teach you about AI in a way that works for you. And that's the whole goal, is that we have to teach to you the way you need to learn it, not necessarily through a lens of a surgeon, right? And
Hmm.
if you're a doctor, you understand the patient, you understand the nurses through, healthcare and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to understand it from each specific avenue, right? Each
Hmm.
specific perspective. So, I'll leave it at that. I'm very pumped, as you can tell. I'm about to burst out in ay, 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 ay,
Ay, ay, ay, ay, ay! It's that time, huh?
ay. Now I'm gonna just have to go for a walk because I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. Again, every time we do this cohort thing, it's always very exciting because the learning is around the corner. That's how I call it. This learning is around the corner because I learn so much every time I do this cohort, just from personality, from the different ways of approaching AI. Even I didn't think of AI that way until somebody said, this is how I do AI. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. That's pretty cool, actually.
Hmm. Yeah. Created my own little algorithms to do one thing or that, one thing or another, like disease states, a mortality algorithm, and
I think you will have a whole levels of robotics, the humanoid robot.